Dragged into the depths of hell, a mere immortal vampire is forced to confront both God and the devil himself. He feels the weight of the damned souls around him, and before God, whose light is so intense it blinds, and the devil himself, whose voice whispers forbidden truths. Forced to choose a side in this cosmic battle that defines the fate of creation, this is the terrifying fate of Lestat de Linecourt, the seductive and rebellious vampire who has already defied everything and everyone, but now finds himself powerless before forces that transcend time and existence. In Memnoch the Devil, Anne Rice delivers one of the most controversial and philosophical stories of the Vampire Chronicles, taking her protagonist on a journey that blends terror, spirituality, and profound questions about good and evil. But what happens when a vampire, a cursed creature of the night driven by his thirst for blood, is chosen to know secrets that no mortal should ever know? What happens when the story of creation is told not through the eyes of human religions, but by the devil himself? If you think you've already seen Lestat face impossible challenges, prepare yourself. Because Memnoch the Devil is not just another supernatural adventure, it is a dive into the essence of the universe, a brutal confrontation between faith and heresy, and a descent into hell that challenges everything you know about vampires, gods, and demons. What will you discover? Lestat's journey through time, heaven, and hell, the shocking version of Memnoch's story about God and creation, and the implications of this book on the vampire mythos. If you watch until the end, you'll understand how Memnoch the Devil challenges everything we know about religion, morality, and the very existence of vampires. Lestat de Linecourt, the vampire who had already defied death and immortality, finds himself in an unprecedented situation. He is being followed, watched by something beyond the humana presence that transcends the mortal world. It all begins when a mysterious being, introducing himself as Memnoch the Devil, appears in his life. Memnoch doesn't just want to talk. He wants to recruit Lestat for his cause. But what would this cause be? And why would a vampire be worthy of such attention? Memnoch's approach isn't aggressive, but persuasive. He doesn't use brute force. Instead, he wields words sharp as blades, challenging Lestat's beliefs and questioning his purpose in eternity. For a being accustomed to seeing himself as the ultimate predator, this conversation becomes an intellectual trap. What begins as a casual encounter soon transforms into an impossible proposition to ignore. Lestat must witness the secrets of the universe and decide which side he will stand, on God's side or the devil's. What disturbs Lestat most is not the invitation itself, but its implications. If Memnoch really is who he says he is, then everything that humans believe could be wrong. Heaven and hell aren't mere abstractions, they are concrete realities. And if there is a God, where do vampires fit into the grand scheme of creation? Are they children of chance, aberrations, or fundamental pieces in a divine plan? Each answer Memnoch offers only raises new questions, plunging Lestat into an existential dilemma. This first approach by Memnoch plants the seed of doubt in the vampire's heart. The idea that he, a creature of darkness, might play a greater cosmic role is both tempting and terrifying. Lestat, who has always defied human morality, now must confront something far greater than any earthly judgment. The journey toward the truth has only just begun, and what he is about to discover may be more disturbing than any nightmare. To convince Lestat of his truth, Memnoch does not limit himself to words. He offers the vampire something no mortal has ever had: the chance to witness, with his own eyes, the creation of the universe. In the blink of an eye, Lestat is transported to timeless ages, where he witnesses the unfolding of the divine plan from the very beginning. He sees primordial chaos, the formation of the first elements, And finally, the emergence of life. What should have been a majestic spectacle, however, soon becomes a disturbing revelation. Memnoch narrates the story of his own rebellion, describing how he was one of the angels tasked with observing and guiding humanity. But unlike the others, he could not accept the suffering imposed by God on his creatures. The devil, as we know him, would not be a malevolent being, but a questioner, someone who challenged divine justice in search of answers. Was human torment, hunger, pain, and death truly part of a perfect plan? Or was God an indifferent creator, watching his creation with cold detachment? As he travels through the past, Lestat sees biblical figures and sacred events from a completely different perspective. He witnesses the crucifixion of Christ, but not as a redemption, and instead as a piece of a cosmic game. The impact of this is overwhelming. Lestat, an immortal being accustomed to disregarding human morality, now finds himself facing far larger questions than he ever could have imagined. If everything humanity believed about God and the devil is wrong, what does that mean for vampires? This knowledge weighs on Lestat like a curse. He realizes that his own existence is intrinsically tied to a much larger plan than just the simple thirst for blood. The journey through time and creation transforms him, shaking his convictions and leaving him on the brink of a spiritual collapse. And the worst is yet to come. What awaits him in hell may be the most terrifying revelation of all. If witnessing the creation was disturbing, nothing could prepare Lestat for the next stage of his journey. Hell. Unlike the traditional view of fire and brimstone, Memnoch's hell is a place of spiritual torment, where souls carry their own sins and are consumed by regrets and existential pains. Here, there are no arbitrary punishments. Each one suffers the consequences of their own life. Lestat sees historical and common figures, each trapped in their own misery. He feels the despair in the air, the silent anguish that fills every corner. Memnoch argues that hell is not a punishment imposed, but a choice. Humans cling to their suffering because they cannot forgive themselves. For a vampire like Lestat, who lives on the margins of humanity, this revelation is a profound blow. If even the souls of the dead can have hope or damnation, what is left for those who were never truly human? This experience redefines everything Lestat thought he knew about death, salvation, and the fate of vampires. If hell is real, then heaven must also be. But the big question remains: what is God's true role in this story? After crossing the horrors of hell, Lestat is led to another, even more surprising destination: paradise. But, unlike the traditional image of a celestial realm of peace and light, he encounters a place of absolute order, where souls find rest and fulfill their roles in a divine scheme. Here, there is no pain, no suffering, but there is also no free will. Everything follows in immutable harmony, and it is in this contrast between heaven and hell that Memnoch presents his final argument. For the devil, God created an unjust system. Human freedom leads to suffering, but the reward of total submission is the loss of individuality. What is worse, to live in pain or to lose oneself in absolute perfection? Lestat observes the souls of the righteous, now devoid of desires and wills, and wonders if this is really the supreme happiness. He, who has always valued pleasure, chaos, and independence, feels more confused than ever. Memnoch then makes his final offer. He wants Lestat to join him in his eternal battle against God. The devil does not seek to destroy the Creator, but to reform the system, granting souls a true choice between suffering and redemption. He believes that only someone like Lestat, a creature of the night who has traversed both the human and divine, could understand this struggle. The vampire is faced with the greatest decision of his existence: to accept the role of the devil's emissary or reject everything he has seen. But Lestat is not a being made to choose sides. He does not want to be a servant of either God or the devil. The idea of being a celestial warrior or a demonic rebel is a burden he is unwilling to bear. And that is when he makes the only possible decision: to flee. He escapes from Memnoch's presence, carrying with him the memories of what he saw, but without committing to either side. His journey was transformative, but he remains, above all, a vampire creature of the shadows, destined to walk among the living without ever belonging to heaven or hell. Fleeing from Memnoch does not mean escaping the consequences of his journey. When Lestat awakens from his experience, he is no longer the same. He returns to the world of the living carrying a weight no other vampire has ever experienced: the forbidden knowledge of God, the devil, heaven, and hell. But the question is, did he truly live through all of that? Or was it an illusion? Upon awakening, Lestat finds himself in possession of a terrifying object, the Shroud of Turin, the cloth that wrapped Christ's body after the crucifixion. This sacred artifact serves as proof that his experience was real, but it also marks him as someone who now carries an incomprehensible spiritual burden. The shroud is a reminder that he has become a vampire touched by the divine, and this revelation brings unexpected consequences. If before Lestat saw himself merely as a predator of the shadows, now he questions whether his existence has a greater meaning. He feels both repulsed and fascinated by the object he carries, unable to decide if it is a blessing or a curse. The relic attracts the attention of other vampires and even forces he does not fully understand. His connection to the supernatural intensifies, and he realizes he cannot simply ignore everything he has experienced. The psychological impact is devastating. Lestat, who has always been arrogant and defiant, is now haunted by doubts. He wonders if hell truly awaits him, or if there is still salvation for someone like him. For the first time, the vampire, who has always mocked morality and religion, finds himself faced with an impossible dilemma. Continue as the predatory and free being he has always been, or surrender to a fate he did not choose. Lestat may have returned to his vampiric existence, but he does not return alone. The knowledge he has acquired separates him from the other vampires, who view him as disturbed, perhaps even cursed. His obsession with what he saw makes him a stranger among them, and even his closest allies begin to fear him. David Talbot, a former member of the Talamasca and now also a vampire, tries to understand Lestat's journey. He seeks rational answers for what happened, but even he cannot deny that something has changed in the Prince of Vampires. The shroud, which Lestat still holds, becomes a symbol of his transformation. Some vampires despise him for it, while others are drawn to its mystery. But there are those who do not want this story to spread. Creatures of the shadows, perhaps even celestial or infernal forces, begin to pursue him. The knowledge Lestat possesses is too dangerous to be shared. He is now a target, someone who carries a secret that could shake the beliefs of both humans and vampires. Surrounded by doubt, rejected by his own kind, and haunted by the touch of the divine, Lestat makes a drastic decision. He must rid himself of the shroud. The presence of this sacred artifact is unbearable for a vampire, and he fears that possessing it could lead to his destruction. But in attempting to discard it, he is faced with a dilemma. Is this a renunciation of the truth, or an act of desperation? Can he erase what he has seen, or will he have to carry this knowledge forever? The impact of Memnoch the Devil goes far beyond Lestat's story. Anne Rice's book is a profound reflection on faith, morality, and the eternal struggle between good and evil. More than a novel about vampires, it challenges the reader to question their own view of God and the devil. The big question left by the work is, what if everything we believe is wrong? What if the devil is not the enemy of humanity, but its greatest defender? What if God, in his perfection, is indifferent to human suffering? These questions transform Memnoch the Devil into one of the most controversial books in the Vampire Chronicles series, sparking heated discussions among readers and scholars of Anne Rice's work. For Lestat, the experience with Memnoch marked him forever, but he remains who he has always been: a vampire, a rebel, an unrelenting questioner. He did not become a servant of God, nor an ally of the devil. He remains apart, living in the shadows, belonging to neither side. This may be the great lesson of the book. Some questions will never have definitive answers, and perhaps it is precisely this that defines the essence of existence. In the end, Memnoch the Devil does not give us absolute truths. It invites us to reflect, to doubt, and to explore the mysteries of the universe for ourselves. And, like Lestat, perhaps we will never find a definitive answer in new questions. And so we reach the end of this dark and philosophical journey through Memnoch the Devil. What started as a simple vampire story turned into a deep dive into existential questions about God, the devil, free will, and the purpose of creation. Anne Rice gave us not just a supernatural tale, but a disturbing reflection that challenges our deepest beliefs. But now I want to know, do you think Memnoch was right? Does the devil really fight for humanity? Or was it all a grand manipulation? Leave your comment below, as I want to know your opinion on this fascinating story. If you like this video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the notification bell so you don't miss more content like this. Your support is essential for us to continue exploring the mysteries of the vampire world and the supernatural. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Until then, creatures of the night,